everybody? This video I'm doing is I'm going to share with you some of my favorite horror movies, and some horror movies that I think are really great. A lot of classics, a lot of old ones from the 70s and 80s, not many from the 90s, but whatever, or from the 2000s. I look for a lot of old horror movies from the 70s because they were pretty fucking awesome, and the 80s. So I'm going to give you my list. It's not in an order from like 1 to 10. It's just a list of some of my favorite horror movies that I think are worth you guys watching this. It's worth you checking them out. Got my Jason mask. Here it is. I don't know how good you can hear me, but here it is. Got it a long time ago. It actually glows in the dark. If I turn this light out, it might glow and you might be able to see it, but I doubt it, because last time I tried doing it before I started this video, it would not glow on camera. So I'm going to try it again. You really can't see jack shit, really. It lights up basically green, but it's not glowing in the dark. I don't know why. It does glow in the dark, but it's not showing up on camera. So, whatever. It won't show up on camera, but there's my Jason mask. There it is. Very, one of my prized possessions. Love this mask. When I was a kid, and I used to go trick-or-treating, I wore that Jason mask. I was Friday the 13th. I was Jason for Halloween many times. Many times. At least 5 or 6 times. If you hear some yelling in the background, it's my goddamn brother yelling at someone else that's in my house. He's yelling at someone downstairs. I apologize for that, if you heard yelling outside my room. Anyways, I was Jason for Halloween and trick-or-treating probably 5 years in a row or 4 years in a row. A lot of years in a row. And I was Jason at many Halloween parties over the years. Never been Freddy Krueger. Growing up, I was not a Freddy Krueger fan. I always liked Jason better, and Jason is probably my favorite horror movie character, or whatever you want to call him, killer, mass murderer. Jason is probably my favorite out of Michael Myers and Freddy and Leatherface. Jason is probably my favorite, or he is my favorite. Now I'm going to go on to talking about my horror movies and some of my favorites that I'm going to share with you. Starting it off first with the first ever Halloween movie. I believe it came out in 1976, I think, maybe 70, I think 76 or 75, maybe 77, I don't remember. Maybe even 78. I'm not sure the year, I didn't look up the year. Anyways, the first Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis in it, where Michael Myers shows up. The first Halloween, very good. I enjoyed it. Another good one is Halloween 2, Part 2. Came out in 1981, I think. Either 1980 or 81. I think 1981. A couple years later, after the first original Halloween, then Halloween 2 came out. That was pretty good. Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, and Halloween 2 was basically, the movie was like the next day after the original Halloween movie. Halloween 2 was basically the next day and next night, or the night of, when Jamie Lee Curtis was attacked in her house. And the Dr. Loomis shot Michael Myers off the porch, and he fell off the porch, and then he disappeared. Anyways, so I guess Halloween 2 is from later on that night. That's what the entire movie is basically built around. And it's pretty decent, but obviously Halloween 1, the original, was the best Halloween, in my opinion. Halloween 3, it's not worth watching, but if you want to watch it to get a laugh, watch it to get a laugh and to have a laugh. It's called Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, I believe. And it's has nothing to do with Michael Myers. He's not in it. He has nothing to do with it. It's pretty lame. The only thing that's good about Halloween 3 is it has a catchy theme song in it. Over and over they keep playing it. I guess they're trying to brainwash kids in it to buy these Halloween masks that a company made. So basically the theme song in Halloween 3 is the best thing about the movie. Over and over they keep singing Happy, Happy Halloween, 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 stuff like that. Halloween 4 came out, I believe, in 1988. Had the little girl in it, Danielle Harris, or however you say her name, Danielle Harris. She was in 4 in Halloween 5. And then she came back in 2006, and she actually got a part in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. She's pretty good in that, and she grew up to be pretty hot, did Danielle Harris. So, Halloween 4 and 5, what do I think of them? Are they worth watching? Sure they are. If you're a big horror movie fan, you should watch them. They're decent. Halloween 6, I believe, was done in 1995 or 4. And it was not very good, but if you're a big Halloween fan, if you're a fan of horror movies, I guess you should check out Halloween 5. Halloween 6, I believe, was Halloween H2O, put out in 98 or 99. So it was like, I guess, the 20th anniversary of Halloween. So they put out a Halloween. Jamie Lee Curtis was in it. She returned. It was Halloween H2O. I guess it was okay. I don't remember much of it because I haven't seen it in years. But I guess it's okay and it's worth watching. After that was another Halloween release in 2002 called Halloween Resurrection. It was god-awful. It sucked. It absolutely sucked, in my opinion. Busta Rhymes, a rapper, was in it. Tyra Banks was in it. This white dude from American Pie movies, he was in it. I don't remember his name, but whatever. It was Halloween Resurrection was pretty awful and pretty stupid. But Michael Myers was in it. I believe he's living in his house where he was a kid and he murdered his sister. And so Michael Myers, I guess he was living in the basement of his original house, and they were filming an internet show. Halloween Resurrection is pretty awful. I don't recommend you watch it because it sucked, and you'll just waste an hour and a half of your time. Now I'm going to talk about the remakes of Halloween. The first remake of Halloween, of the original, but it was a different story. It was Rob Zombie's own story and his own version of Halloween. He came up and wrote his own story. He directed it, and it came out in 2006, I believe, the Halloween remake. But it wasn't really a remake because it was Rob Zombie's original story that he came up with and wrote. I really enjoyed Halloween from 2006, Rob Zombie's Halloween. I thought it was great, and I thought it was very well done. And he came up with a great story. So I really enjoyed that movie. It was great, I thought. Halloween 2, which was also Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. He wrote and directed and came up with the story. Again, it was after It was the movie was basically the same night that Laurie was attacked by Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. So this was Halloween 2, and in the beginning, Laurie is all bloodied up, walking in the middle of the street like a zombie because she was attacked and almost murdered by Michael Myers. And they take her into the hospital, start doing surgeries on her, giving her stitches and stuff like that. Then she's in the hospital, has a giant cast on her arm, and then Michael Myers breaks out of the van in Halloween 2. I'm not going to talk about the whole movie. I'm just saying he breaks out of the van, kills the 2 drivers, I believe, after they hit a cow, cuts off one of the drivers' heads, and then he goes to the hospital, kills one of the nurses, stabs her like at least 10 times. It was pretty gory and brutal. Then he goes after Laurie, who was staying in the hospital, and then she escapes, and then he goes after her. So Halloween 2, I really enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it more than Rob Zombie's first Halloween. I really enjoyed Halloween 2. I thought it was better than his first one that he did. And the girl that played Laurie, I thought she was great in it. I thought she was great. She was a great actress. She played the part of Laurie very well, and I'm a big fan of hers. I just thought she did a great job in remakes of Halloween and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It was a remake, I guess, but again, Halloween 1, the first Halloween that Rob Zombie did was his original story, so it wasn't really a remake, but it kind of was. But there were a lot of different things that happened in it that did not happen in the original Halloween. So, as I said, the remakes, Rob Zombie's Halloweens, I loved them, and I thought they were very well done. I'm sure some will disagree, and some people maybe hated them and didn't like them and didn't like Halloween being remade or whatever. But I enjoyed them. I think Rob Zombie is a damn good horror movie director. I enjoyed a lot of his movies. The Devil's Rejects was pretty good. House of a Thousand Corpses I thought was good, and I enjoyed it. And he did a 5th movie. He directed a 5th movie, I believe it's called, can't remember the name right now. Anyways, he directed a 5th movie, and he put his wife in it again, but it wasn't very good. I watched it, and I was pretty bored by it. I just can't remember the name of it. So, there we go. I talked about the Halloween movies are great, and I suggest you watch them. Except for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and Halloween Resurrection. Those sucked. Now I'm going to talk about another movie that I think is great. The original Evil Dead. Even though it's not a lame story, but some parts in it get pretty boring. So, the original Evil Dead, it is worth checking out, I think. But the remake of Evil Dead, now I'm going to talk about that. I think the remake was better, and I enjoyed it more than the original. Maybe because there was more blood and gore in it. I don't know. But the end where the main girl basically in it, that gets her body taken over by evil spirits and demons. The main girl at the end takes out a chainsaw and sticks it in the mouth, I guess, of a demon, and blood sprays all over her face. That's a great scene. I love that scene. And there was a lot of blood in it. So now I'm going to look at all these movies I have. A big pile of movies here. And all these. My goddamn computer mouse just fell over. Who cares? I'm going to look at all these movies and see if there's any good horror movies that I have in my collection of movies that I can tell you about. And I talked about Evil Dead. The original was pretty good, but I think the remake was better. Talked about Halloween and those movies. And I have a lot more movies to talk about, but that I know that are in my head that I want to talk about, but I'm looking up if I have any other horror movies here to tell you about, or that I didn't remember that I had. Let's see here. Guess I'll talk about, while I'm looking for other horror movies, I'll talk about Friday the 13th, the series, the originals, or the first one that came out in 1980, Friday the 13th, and then they put out Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 and 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and they all had gimmick names attached to them. Friday the 13th Part 4 was called The Final Chapter. That was supposed to be the last movie in the series, but it was not. And then 5 was, Friday the 13th Part 5 was called A New Beginning. Part 6 was called, I can't fucking remember right now. It doesn't really matter. Part 6 or 7 was called New Blood. And then Friday the 13th, Part 7 or 8 was called Jason Takes Manhattan. That was pretty funny, but wasn't that good. So all these movies. First, Friday the 13th was great. It was done very well, and it was a big hit. I enjoyed it. Friday the 13th Part 2 was also pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. And then Jason show up and finally show himself, because in Part 1 he was never shown except as a kid when he came out of the lake. So Part 2 he shows up with a bag over his head, or a pillowcase, whatever you want to call it, a sack over his head. And he had one eye cut out so you could see through one eye, a hole in the pillowcase. So then he's running around with a bag on his head, basically killing people. And then the girl survives at the end. And after Jason breaks through her window, and he's all has a deformed face, looks like a homeless guy, basically. Breaks through the window, grabs her. And then the movie ends and they take her to the hospital. And then she's saying, where's Paul, or whatever. Friday the 13th, Part 3. 1 and 2 I thought were good. Part 3 was also pretty decent. It was good, but it wasn't that great. It wasn't great. Part 3 was Friday the 13th in 3D. And it was also the first Friday the 13th that they came out and showed Jason putting on his hockey mask. And his basically his identity. Everybody knows Jason now. Everybody on this planet knows Jason now by him. If you see him wearing a hockey mask, or you see somebody on Halloween wearing a hockey mask, you say to yourself right away, that's Jason. Everybody knows that. So he's the most recognizable by the Jason wearing the hockey mask, not the bag over his head, or whatever the hell that was. Let's see all these goddamn movies. When I'm done talking about Friday the 13th, the series of movies, I'm going to talk about some of my movies here that I have. Some, I don't know if they're considered, some are considered horror, and some are considered, I guess, sci-fi. None of them are really, none of them scare me. I don't get scared anymore by movies. I did probably last time I got scared of a movie is when I was probably 13 or 14 years old. It just doesn't happen anymore. I just enjoy horror movies a lot, and they're some of my favorites. Favorite genre of movies to watch is horror movies. I now basically watch, not to be scared, but to watch and see what the story is. If it's a good story and if the people in it are going to survive or not. How much blood is in it, how much gore is in it, how much killing is in it, how different ways they can kill the characters in the movies. That's why I watch horror movies. So, now, Halloween 4 was, they had the little kid in it who was Corey Feldman. Famous child actor, he was in a lot of other movies. And they also had a dog in it. I forget the dog's name. I cannot remember the dog's name. And then anyways, Jason, in part 4, Jason, they act like he kills the dog. But they never show the dog dead. Maybe they did. I don't remember. They probably couldn't show the dog dead because then it would have had a higher rating than rated R. So at the end, Jason breaks in their cabin house, takes Corey Feldman, grabs him from behind after breaking through the window. Then the lady that's watching Corey Feldman, the blonde chick, grabs a hammer, starts smashing Jason in the head. That was pretty funny to me. And then Jason is basically a bald head under the hockey mask, or has a hockey mask over his bald head, and gets his head all smashed up and it's all bloodied and basically crushed in. And then you have Corey Feldman. I didn't enjoy this part of the movie. He goes upstairs, shaves his head like he's Jason as a little kid. And then he goes downstairs. I believe he has a giant knife or giant machete. And then he starts screaming. I believe he starts stabbing Jason and trying to kill him, I guess. And then I believe he's yelling, "Die, die, die," or something like that. Part 4 was okay. Friday the 13th, Part 4 was okay, but it wasn't that good. Part 5 now, I believe, is called A New Beginning. There were pretty innovative kill scenes in it. The way Jason killed the characters. I don't know if this was Part 4 or 5. Could even been Part 6, where someone was in a sleeping bag and Jason picked up a sleeping bag, slammed it up against a tree. That was a great scene. But I don't remember which part of Friday the 13th that was in, but I know it happened. Another one, he sticks, I believe, a Roman candle or a firework or something. He sticks it in some dude's mouth. That was a pretty innovative kill scene. Also, some dude, I believe is Part 3 or 4, is doing the handstands in his house. And then Jason has an axe and basically chops him in between his legs and kills him like that. In Part 3, crushes some dude's head. And then the guy's eye pops out towards the camera because it was 3D. That was pretty cool. And then a lot of innovative, cool kill scenes basically were in every Friday the 13th. That they found different ways to kill the characters that were pretty cool. So Part 5, I remember, was pretty lame, but you had some chick in the woods that was getting naked with her boyfriend, and she had giant tits, and she was pretty hot because she had giant breasts. And I'm sure they were natural because it was the 80s. Or it was 1985, I believe. Which Part 5 came out in 1985, so I'm sure her tits were natural. So good for her. Congratulations, because whoever she was, she had great tits. Part 6, I don't remember what the hell happened in part 6. Oh, yes, I do. Lightning strikes, I believe, Jason's grave. Some guys try to dig him up. In the beginning, they try to dig him up, and Corey Feldman is out in the woods watching these guys trying to dig up Jason. It's raining out, it's storming out, and then lightning strikes, and Jason opens his eyes in the grave, and his face is all decayed, and he has worms crawling all over his face. So then Jason awakes and kills the 2 guys right away that were digging him up and trying to. I don't know why in the hell these guys were trying to dig up Jason. For what reason, I don't know. But they got what was coming to them because they got killed. So by Friday the 13th, Part 6, everybody, every fan of the movie and every fan of Friday the 13th basically knew that Jason was never going to die, ever. He was unkillable, in my opinion. And in the movies, he was unkillable because he kept coming back and they kept putting on more and more movies. And they obviously kept making Friday the 13th if they weren't making money. So they had to be making pretty good money on all the movies to keep making them. Friday the 13th Part 7 was pretty good. It had a girl in it. The main character, had like psychic abilities, where she can move things with her mind. They had her move a TV set smashed over Jason's head. That was a pretty cool scene. She, with her brain and psychic powers, she broke Jason's mask open, and then she made Jason fall down the stairs, and then he broke through the stairs and fell into the basement. And then with her psychic powers, she had gasoline poured on Jason and set him on fire. And then he set on fire, I believe, and then I don't remember what happened after that because I haven't seen the whole movie in a while. But I think they went outside the cabin or something. And then Jason and the entire house exploded. I believe that was part 7, Friday the 13th, part 7. The entire house explodes, and at the end, or I think at the end, the guy that was the dude that was her boyfriend, I guess, in some boat was trying to hook a chain around Jason's neck with a giant rock on it so he would drown and go to the bottom of the lake. And then he eventually got the chain around his neck, and Jason went and sunk to the bottom of the lake. I believe that is in part 7. Maybe I'm wrong, but it happened in one of the movies. And then I think in part 8, either part 7 or 8 of Friday the 13th, they started it with, or maybe it ended, or it started with Jason. They start showing him at the bottom of the lake, not moving. But then I believe he started moving and he took the chain off, or he got it off, or he broke it or something because he came out of the fucking lake. And then Jason went to Manhattan, New York City. Jason Takes Manhattan. It was an entertaining movie, but a lot of parts of it were pretty boring, and the end was stupid as hell. She's down in the sewer with him, and Jason, as a little boy, was pulling her leg back down, and it was just stupid. And then I believe she threw acid, or threw acid in Jason's face, and then his face started decaying into a monster, and he started melting. Well, Jason was not the witch from Wizard of Oz. I don't know why he started melting, because he was Jason. In Friday the 13th, Jason Takes Manhattan, I thought they made Jason look really weak, and that was stupid of them. And the director was pretty stupid also. Whoever directed Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, the director was pretty bad and did not do a good job. Friday 13th Part 9, I believe, was, but they didn't call it Part 9, but it was, I believe, Friday Jason Goes to Hell. Came out in 1993. I did not enjoy Jason Goes to Hell. I just did not. The concept was stupid as hell, where they basically operated on Jason and then the stupid doctor started eating his heart. Why the fuck would you want to eat Jason's heart? Just to have Jason's powers to be so evil and kill and have his superpowers, whatever. I don't think anybody on this planet would want to eat Jason's heart unless you were fucking insane and you wanted to murder. Anyways, I didn't enjoy it. And then Jason's spirit kept getting passed from body to body. It was stupid. So I did not enjoy Jason Goes to Hell at all. Friday 13th Part 10, I guess, was Jason X. I saw Jason X in the theaters. It wasn't very good at all. It wasn't good at all. It was pretty shitty and stupid. But I just went to the theaters to see it because I was a big fan of Friday the 13th and a big Jason fan, so that's why I saw Jason X. And I regret paying like $9 at the time to go see it in the theaters. And so after Jason X, we had Jason versus Freddy, which came out in 2003. That was a great movie. I enjoyed it. Finally, us as horror fans finally got to see Freddy versus Jason in a movie, and the movie was pretty well done. Had a pretty good story. I enjoyed it. Jason, next movie after Freddy versus Jason was a Friday the 13th remake. And the remake was a bit different than the original because it had Jason in it with the hockey mask through the entire movie killing. And in the original, he wasn't around with any hockey mask on. He wasn't around at all. He was just behind the camera basically killing. And everybody knew, watching Friday the 13th, the first one, the original, everybody basically knew that Jason was behind all the killings. Or that he was killing everybody. Before, I guess it was a dream, before the dream of Jason coming up as a little boy and grabbing her in the boat and pulling her into the lake. So, remake of Friday the 13th was decent, it was okay, but it wasn't great. And that was the last Friday the 13th movie they made. I believe it came out in 2009. Now I'm going to talk about this movie. The Human Caterpillar came out, I believe, in 2009. It's I don't know what you call it. I don't know. This is horror, I guess, but not really. It's a type of movie basically to gross people out. The concept of it is to basically gross people out. And I'm not going to say the concept or discuss it. If you want to know what it is, watch the movie. It's called The Human Caterpillar. It's a pretty gross concept, pretty gross movie, but it is entertaining, and I enjoyed it. The second one, Human Caterpillar 2. I don't know when that came out. I think 2011 or something. Anyways, The Human Caterpillar Part 2 was even worse than the first. It was more extreme, more gross, more violent, more disgusting, some parts of it. I guess I enjoyed it, but it was pretty disgusting. Some stuff they did in it was pretty extreme and too disgusting for me, but I still watched it, and I still own it on DVD. What was I going to say about it? It's just, I guess you could call it horror, but in my opinion, The Human Caterpillar Part 2, I don't know what category it falls under. You could call it extreme horror, because that's what it is. That film is, after you watch it, you'll want to take a shower, because you will feel dirty. Trust me. Next movie that I have that I'll talk about, it is, so I'll talk about the Nightmare on Elm Street and their series of movies now. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, was great. It was epic. The story was great. The director, Wes Craven, was great. How he directed it, came up with the story, wrote it, came up with the character Freddy Krueger. That is genius. And I enjoyed Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, put out in 1984. And the concept is just genius. You fall asleep. Every teenager has to fall asleep. And then every teenager probably has nightmares. And then Freddy gets into their nightmares. Great story, great idea. Again, Wes Craven is a fucking genius. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. And thank you for giving us all those great movies that you made. Like Nightmare on Elm Street, Last House on the Left, Swamp Thing, Scream. You gave us so many great horror movies, so thank you, Wes Craven. And you will be missed. He's a great, great horror movie director. Why do I keep saying Friday the 13th? Freddy. A lot of people probably call them Freddy Krueger movies, or you want to go watch Freddy. That's what a lot of me and my friends would say, let's go watch a Freddy movie. Or we would go rent. Back in the day when there was a Blockbuster, we would a lot of times go rent Friday the 13th movies and Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then we would watch them together and basically goof on them and enjoy them. Not goof on them like they were made like shit, but just goof on them like when we'd see people in the beginning of the movie, me and my friends basically would say, that person is gone, that girl's getting killed, that guy's going to be gone at the end of the movie or before it, or he's going to be gone in 5 minutes, and then they would get killed real soon. So that's how we would have fun with watching the Friday the 13th movies, by basically picking the characters and saying they're gone, they're gone, they're gone, they're gone. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 was the movie, how it was done, it was pretty gay. And probably the gayest horror movie ever. The references in it and how they made it. I mean, Freddy strips I believe he's a teacher, strips him nude in the showers as I'm tied up, and that's pretty gay. And then the main character, the kid, or whatever he was, a teenager, he was gay in real life. Not that I care, not that I'm against that. I support gays and I support gay marriage, but his character wasn't gay. But basically, you watch that movie back and you can tell now that he was gay. So I didn't enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street 2 at all. Some parts were okay, but I didn't enjoy it. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was good. Part 4. I don't remember what happened in Part 4. And then I think they made a Part 5. I don't remember who was even in it. And what the story was, really. Basically, the story of every Nightmare on Elm Street was Freddy got in another person's dream and new characters' dreams. And then he would try to murder them. Then they came out with Freddy's New Nightmare, I believe in 91 or something like that. Then finally Wes Craven directed, and I believe he wrote the final one that he did. It's called Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Final Nightmare. And that had the original girl, from the first one, the original girl that was in it. I forget her name in the movie. Her character's name, I can't remember it. But she was in that, and she had a little kid with her that was her son in Freddy's Final Nightmare. Nightmare on Elm Street. That was a pretty good one. Then the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. That was pretty much shit. I did not enjoy it. It was a bad remake. The guy that played Freddy sucked. He wasn't the original Freddy. He was not Robert Englund. The guy in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, that's what I think of him. I think he sucked, and he played Freddy awful. And he did not do Freddy Krueger justice. He just sucked. So, and that was the last Nightmare on Elm Street movie we have seen. I believe that came out in 2010, I think. So now, I'll talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and their series of movies. The original, the original was perfect. It was great. How it was directed, how it was done, the story, the characters in it were all great, and they were all great. They all played their parts great. Leatherface in the original was great. He played the part awesome. Just how he moved and how his face reacted and stuff like that. And a lot of people in a lot of countries, I believe in England or Australia or maybe New Zealand, one of them, actually banned Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original from the 70s. They actually banned it in their country for like 28 years. They would not let anybody see it or release it on video or DVD. I think it was in England, I think. In the UK they banned it for like 28 years or something like that. Anyways, the film didn't really have much of any blood in it, except for the blood that was covered at the end, that Sally was basically covered in blood, and her white top was covered in blood, and she had white pants on, and those were covered in blood. But the movie was not a violent, bloody movie. It was not a gore fest. It was not a bloodbath. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, gets way too much hate and flack that it was a bloodbath film. It was not at all. I mean, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street had way more bloodshed, way more blood than Texas Chainsaw Massacre ever did. I mean, the part where Leatherface lifts up the girl, puts her on the hook, and then her body's basically hanging above a tub, above a bathtub, and there's not one drop of blood that is shown dripping in the tub. The remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that was bloody as hell and pretty gory. That was way more violent than the original, in my opinion. The original, as I said, it was epic and it was awesome. I love that movie and how it was put together and done. It's just the director, Tobe Hooper, the guy is a genius for making that movie like he made it. And they made it for like, I think under $300,000 they made it for, and look at all the money it's made. It's made millions and millions. And they shot the movie, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they shot it in like 29 days. That's pretty insane. And some of them, the actors, Leatherface, some of them worked 16 straight hours for 7 days a week. That's pretty insane. Now I'm going to talk about Part 2. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 was a fail. Probably because the company that was putting it out didn't let the director, Tobe Hooper, do what he wanted to do, so it failed. It pretty much sucked. Part 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was god-awful. I don't even remember it, but I might have saw some of it. I think they might have put out a part 4. I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre part 4, where they had, what's that actress's name? She was in Jerry Maguire. I cannot remember her name for shit. Anyways, she was a blonde. Renee Zellweger was in it, if that's how you say her last name. Zellweger, whatever her name is. And, what the hell's that other guy's name? Renee Zellweger, and I don't remember the other actor's name, but he's well known. He's been in a ton of movies. I can't remember his name for shit. I should have wrote it down, but whatever. He's in it, and they put out, I don't know if it was Chainsaw Massacre 4 or 3, whatever it was shit. It sucked. The original was the best. And then they put out the remake in 2003 with Jessica Biel. She's hot as hell, I think. She was in it as the main character, or the main female in it. The remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. A lot of blood in it, a lot of gore in it. If you don't like blood and guts and gore, then you shouldn't watch it. Then they made another one, I believe in 2006, this came out. It was an original story of, I guess, before Leatherface. This was supposed to be done before the original movie, but it was in 2006, so whatever. This was called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. The very hot Jordana Brewster was in it. She's hot as hell, I think. She was in it. And I don't remember who else was in it. Some other hot blonde chick that was her friend, and two other guys that were with them. I thought that was well done, and I enjoyed it. And then they came out with another Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I believe in 2014, I think, or 2013. 2013, they came out with Texas Chainsaw, it was called, and I believe it was in 3D. I didn't see it in 3D, but I did see it. I own it on DVD. It's right here. So, Texas Chainsaw from 2013, I enjoyed that. I thought it was good. Now, I'm going to talk about, I already talked about Evil Dead 1. It was good, but it wasn't that good. And I believe they made an Evil Dead 2. I don't remember much of that, but I'm sure it was decent. And I said the Evil Dead remake, in my opinion, was the best. I enjoyed that the most, because it was updated and they had more blood and gore in it. So now I'm going to talk about, see if I can find some other horror movies that I can't remember that I have to tell you about. Well, Scarface. That is not a horror movie, but it's a great movie. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one. There it is. It's a DVD burn that I did. I already talked about that one. Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. Here it is. That's not horror. I guess this is considered horror, or maybe it's a thriller, whatever. What was it called? Or I get it's probably a thriller, but they kill people a lot in it, so it feels like horror to me. It's called Final Destination movies. First Final Destination was pretty good, but not much killing in it. Or maybe there was, I don't remember the whole movie. Final Destination Part 2 was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of innovative death scenes in it. Part 3, Final Destination, was also pretty entertaining. I believe they have these two chicks go in a tanning bed, and then they get burned alive in the tanning bed because they can't get out of it. That is pretty innovative. Part 4, I don't remember Final Destination Part 4, but I'm sure it's decent. Final Destination Part 5, the last one, was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. And I guess this is considered a horror movie. It's called I Spit on Your Grave. They came out with an original. The original came out in the 70s. I believe in 1976 or something like that. The original was great. It's pretty tough to watch when the main girl in it is being raped in the woods. That's tough to watch, and that's hard to get through. For me, it was, at least as a guy seeing that. That was not enjoyable. The remake of I Spit on Your Grave came out in 2010. I really enjoyed it. The main girl in it, the main character that basically took all that abuse, she was great in it. She was great actress, and she was great in it. So I recommend you see the original first. Watch the original I Spit on Your Grave, even though it's pretty tough to watch, but the ending is awesome because the girl survives. Obviously, she survives after being put through hell. And then the remake. Watch the remake of I Spit on Your Grave. I think it's a great movie. I enjoyed it. I guess this would be considered horror, but maybe it's not. They Live with Rowdy Piper. They Live. It's awesome. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. Watch it. What else? That's not horror. This is not horror. Not horror. I think this is from Stephen King's book he wrote called It, or whatever the book was called. I don't know. But they made a movie out of one of Stephen King's books. And it was called It. Very entertaining movie. Great movie. Put together well. I believe it's 2 parts. So that movie's like, I think 3 hours long because it's 2 parts. It's called It. I recommend you watch it. It's from, I believe, the late 80s. Or maybe 91. I don't know. Another great movie directed by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre original director, Tobe Hooper. It's called The Funhouse. Came out in 1981. I recommend you watch it. You may think it's pretty lame and cheesy, but I enjoy it, so I recommend you watch The Funhouse. It's from 1981. I'm sure you could find it on Amazon to buy it, or Netflix. You could find it to watch it if you have Netflix. I don't have Netflix, so I don't know if The Funhouse is on there. Another good movie, I don't know if it's horror, but it's pretty entertaining. It's called The Fly from 1986. It's pretty awesome. Evil Dead 2 here. But I already talked about Evil Dead 2. Let's see the rest. If I have any horror movies that I haven't talked about yet. Because I've talked about just about every horror movie that I enjoy already. Another great movie, I believe it came out in 2014, I think. It's called It Follows. Pretty damn good movie. The music in it is great. Great music in it. Makes the movie way better. It's called It Follows. Check that out wherever you find your movies. Terminator 2, not a horror movie. Terminator 1 is not a horror movie either. If people think that is horror, you're stupid. It's the original I Spit on Your Grave. Final Destination 5. The Terminator from '84. Running Man. Another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. That's awesome. Expendables 2. Expendables 3. Not a horror movie, but pretty damn entertaining movie. It's called The Grey with a Leslie... What the hell's his name? Not Leslie. Liam. With Liam Neeson. It's called The Grey. It's pretty awesome. You know who Liam Neeson is if you've seen any of the Taken movies. You know who he is. Point Break. Not a horror movie, but fucking awesome. Okay, not many more movies left here. And I apologize if you're bored and that you don't want to watch it anymore, because this show has almost been an hour long. I apologize, but if you're bored, just turn it off. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. I won't be offended if you only watch 5 minutes. Not a horror movie. Not a horror movie. NXT on here from 2012. NXT says from August 2012. Not a horror movie at all. I guess this is a horror movie, and I forgot I had it. It's called Black Christmas. They did make a remake of it. It was pretty decent, but the original Black Christmas, I suggest you see it because it's pretty awesome. Another horror movie that's pretty decent, but I don't own it, is Candyman. Candyman series of movies is decent. The first Chucky movie, the first Child's Play movie is also pretty good, but Child's Play 2 and 3 sucks balls, and it sucks. So I don't recommend you see Child's Play 2 or 3 or Seed of Chucky or Bride of Chucky, because they suck in my opinion. And they're boring as hell. These are not horror movies. Human Caterpillar Part 2. I already talked about that. I guess this is a horror movie. It's called Mother's Day. It was made in, I believe, the 80s. And then they made a remake of it. It's called Mother's Day. They made a remake in 2010. It's pretty decent. So check out the movie called Mother's Day. I believe it's a horror or thriller. Swamp Thing. I guess that's a horror movie. Not really, because it was a comic book. So Swamp Thing, I believe, is just a comic book character. They made a movie. Hansel and Gretel movie came out in 2013. It was pretty entertaining. Check out Hansel and Gretel. The Avengers, not a horror movie. Okay, so that's all the horror movies I got. I talked about all of them that I enjoy. Hope you enjoyed my horror movies show and all the movies I enjoy. I recommend you check out a lot of these movies that I talked about, except for the ones that sucked, like Halloween Resurrection, Child's Play 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 sucked. And Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, also sucked, so I do not recommend you watch those. But the rest of the movies I talked about, I recommend you go watch some of them if you haven't seen them. The ones I've talked about, that if you haven't seen them and you think maybe I should check it out because I talked about it, go ahead. And if you do watch one of them, write me on Twitter, tweet me, and tell me what you thought of it. My Twitter is at TNAWWE guy. Hope you enjoyed my horror movies list and the movies I enjoy that are horror. Thank you for watching. If you watched, I really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter again at TNAWWE guy and at NXT WWE guy. Bye for now.